and on Halloween night, Haddonfield becomes his hunting ground. The boogeyman's primary desire is to eliminate every living resident in this quiet town, but he also begins each match with a list of special targets that supply greater rewards if killed before time expires. These unfortunate residents are positioned across various sites in the map, and Michael players are empowered to use their nightmare suite of abilities to locate, terrorize, and ultimately execute their victims and anyone bold enough to interfere with their bloodthirsty ambitions. Killer Sense allows players to step behind the mask and stalk the residents of Haddonfield. When using this skill and entering the first-person perspective, Michael becomes aggressively aware of his surroundings and the proximity of potential prey. By focusing on targets with murderous intent, Michael builds varying levels of stalk, which aid him in identifying and tracking targets and open increasingly satisfying options for executions. An effective killer always keeps their victims unaware of their presence until those final fatal moments. While historically Michael Myers isn't known for his speed, fundamental abilities like shape jump amplify the shape's mobility with hauntingly unpredictable results. In shape jump, Michael slips into the shadows to move around environments unseen. Not only does this increase Michael's base movement speed, but it also provides access to other powerful traversal options, including Shape Dash, which sends Michael lunging forward with violent momentum. Shape Jump is confidently one of the most powerful tools at Michael's disposal, and supplies unlimited possibilities for iconic jump scare moments.
Stay cool.
However, that potency comes with a few major caveats. Our masked antagonist can only enter and exit Shape Jump while in the cover of darkness or outside a resident's line of sight. The light may provide temporary reprieve for the residents of Haddonfield, but Michael can work to remove sources of illumination by shutting off lights, cutting power, and even catalyzing temporary blackouts.
Oh God!
Despite the unquestionable malevolence of Michael Myers, his horrifying homecoming to Haddonfield won't be welcomed without resistance. As the body count climbs and evidence of the boogeyman's presence becomes undeniable, local authorities, residents, and distinct playable civilians may decide to gather weapons and face off against evil itself. Thankfully, Michael knows his way around sharp objects and will have multiple options for melee combat encounters. And if especially persistent Haddonfieldites do manage to get the upper hand in an exchange, don't worry.
How the hell?
It's not possible.
We've said it once, and we'll say it again. You can't kill the boogeyman. While Michael swiftly endeavors to turn Haddonfield into a graveyard, our heroic group of civilian characters desperately attempts to save their neighbors and escape the boogeyman's bloodthirst. As a civilian, it's up to you to find fellow Haddonfield residents, convince them of his malicious intent, and guide them safely to one of several possible randomized escapes located around the map before they meet an untimely end. This distinctive cast of playable civilian characters each comes equipped with unique stats, special traits, and signature personalities. To ensure no two matches of Halloween play out the same, our team has constructed a vast playground of possibilities in Haddonfield, offering civilians a multitude of diverse gameplay systems to aid them in achieving their objectives and surviving the night. As civilians navigate these environments, they'll uncover points of interest, revealing resident NPCs, lootable containers, hiding places, telephones, possible escape routes, and more. Thoroughly and cautiously exploring your surroundings could very well mean the difference between life and death. And when death comes to your little town, it's probably not a bad idea to head to your neighbors and contact the local authorities. Civilians are tasked with tracking down surviving residents and warning them of the looming threat. Successful conversations with residents can permit civilians to request additional calls to police, commands to find secure hiding places, or companionship as they navigate the formerly peaceful streets of Haddonfield.
Should we stick together? Maybe we're better as a team.
Whether it's a local family friend or the authorities, there's safety in numbers. Once the innocent residents of Haddonfield have been located and persuaded, it's time for the civilians to plan their harrowing escape. Lootable containers scattered throughout the map contain weapons, distractions, and key items that can be used to unlock and access a variety of possible escape routes. The location of these items and escapes changes from match to match, so civilians greatly benefit from adjusting their strategies based on the objects uncovered. It's also worth noting that initiating these escape sequences generates a tremendous amount of noise, which will alert Michael to your exact location. So what happens in the likely event that a civilian becomes another display of Michael's wretched, inhumane nature? Well, their Haddonfield story isn't over just yet. Even in death, they can support their friends and even return as a sheriff's deputy or the unrelenting Dr. Loomis. Once they've re-emerged upon the streets of Haddonfield, they can cooperate with the remaining civilians and responding officers to try and put a stop to Michael's murderous rampage.
Freeze where you are, Michael. You're coming with me.
While he can't be killed, with enough community resistance, the proper equipment, and sheer manpower, he can be detained and shipped back to Smith's Grove Sanitarium. Halloween is a legendary film with a genre-defining legacy, and our mission has been to bring the film's unsettling sense of dread to our asymmetrical horror sandbox. By empowering players to control the tension and stage the scares, we're building a multiplayer experience designed to reconstruct the quiet town of Haddonfield in stunning detail. Remaining authentic to the 70s era aesthetics was essential to how we crafted our play spaces. When players navigate these environments, they'll be surrounded by decor that delightfully preserves a special moment in time. Throughout these locations, randomized townsfolk NPCs are living their lives, completely unaware of the danger lurking right outside their windows. These NPCs serve as the game's primary objectives. Stepping behind the mask of this infamous killer, Michael's goal is to find, stalk, and kill the residents of Haddonfield before Halloween night ends. Once you've honed in and stalked a target, it's time to choose the perfect moment to strike. Michael comes equipped with an array of unpredictable endowments, but the most powerful is Shape Jump. When in Shape Jump, Michael is invisible to the naked eye. This is our interpretation of Michael's inexplicable tendency to suddenly appear in completely unexpected places and catch victims off guard. Players can also choose from a broad range of compelling civilian hero characters that have witnessed the wrath of Michael and need to warn their neighbors before it's too late. Finding an active phone will allow you to call the police and attempt to convince them to send in help. Just remember, you may be able to knock him down, but you can't kill the boogeyman. We hope you've enjoyed this extended look at gameplay for Halloween. We've only scratched the surface of what's shaping up to be a truly special and murderous sandbox horror experience, and we can't
Back inside, everyone.
Let's go, Myers.
Fueled by his rage, I shudder to think what he might be capable of.
Since when do they let them wander around?
I knew what would come next. Enough to cross Michael's path would suffer. No one knew of the evil that was walking among them. Unreasoning, relentless, evil. But sometimes I think the truth was something much more terrible. I wonder
years, perhaps.
September 8th. That's when Michael Myers comes home. And after everything you've just watched, I want to tell you exactly what I think about it. Ilphonic is doing this again. The same studio that made Friday the 13th the game, the same people behind Predator Hunting Grounds, back with another licensed horror property. And this time, they've got arguably the biggest slasher icon ever made. Michael Myers. The Shape. The Boogeyman. And having played the demo multiple times now, I'll be honest with you, it actually feels different to what they've made before. Not just a reskin, something with a bit more soul to it. The single biggest thing that separates Halloween from Dead by Daylight and everything else in this genre right now is that Michael is played in first person during Killer Sense mode. You are looking through his eyes, scanning the neighborhood, watching the movement of people through the gaps of windows and fences. The field of view narrows, the breathing slows, and suddenly the tension you always felt as a survivor in other games transfers completely to the killer side. That is a genuinely clever design decision, and I don't think it's getting enough attention in the conversation around this game. The shape jump ability is the other thing that got me. Michael turns into a shadow, moves fast, appears somewhere he shouldn't be. It's the supernatural quality the original film always implied without ever explaining. Carpenter never wanted you to understand Michael. He's not human in the way people expect. The game commits to that. And stalking players accumulate levels that unlock increasingly brutal executions, meaning the longer Michael hunts without being interrupted, the more dangerous he becomes. That's a pressure system that actually matches what the character does in the film. On the survivor side, you're not just running. You're arming townsfolk NPCs with weapons, calling the police to trigger stronger patrols, protecting families while trying to find your own way out. You can even play as Dr. Loomis after death, which is one of the best ideas this genre has produced in years. Respawning as the one person in the entire film who actually understood what Michael was, and coming back to help the living, that's fan service that also serves the gameplay. John Carpenter is executive producer on this. Nick Castle, the original Michael Myers, did the motion capture. That level of franchise authenticity running through the DNA of the game genuinely shows in the footage. Now here's where I need to pump the brakes because I always do. Ilphonic's track record at launch is not perfect. Friday the 13th was brilliant and then it died because of a rights dispute they couldn't control. Predator Hunting Grounds had a messy launch and struggled with player retention. Asymmetrical horror multiplayer games live and die on population. If the player count drops 3 months after release, both sides of the experience fall apart. You get long queue times, unbalanced lobbies, a game that should feel terrifying and instead just feels empty. There's also the $40 standard price point with a $60 deluxe edition, which for a multiplayer-focused game in this genre is a harder sell than a free-to-play model would be. Dead by Daylight built its audience over years, partly because the barrier to entry kept getting lower. Halloween is asking you to commit up front and hoping the name alone carries enough weight to sustain a healthy lobby population long term. That might work, it might not. We'll find out fast. But look, as someone who's been in the demo and keeps going back to it, the atmosphere IllFonic have captured is real. Haddonfield in 1978 built in Unreal Engine 5, the street lighting, the jack-o'-lanterns on porches, the cold autumn air of it all. It looks and sounds like the film. And sometimes that's enough to pull you back in, even when the mechanical loop is something you've touched before. September 8th. Pre-purchase is open now on Steam. Watch the rest of the footage, decide if this is your kind of game, and I'll see you in the next one. I'm Midgardium.